Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thinking Thursday, the program here at the Kalispell Chamber, where we put together information that we know is going to be helpful and timely for you and your businesses, and will help your business to thrive and grow. A couple quick items. This is being recorded today so that we can have this available for you to either rewatch if you need to revisit anything or share with your colleagues if they weren't able to be on here live today. My name's Jen Kronk. I'm the Administrative Services Manager here at the Kalispell Chamber. You can follow us on social media, Kalispell Chamber of Commerce. You can also follow us on our website with kalispellchamber.com. Today, we're going to have the questions in the Q&A feature. Will be on the top or the bottom of your screen. So go ahead and submit those and we'll answer them throughout. So it's really going to be a fun presentation today. And with that, welcome, and let's kick this off here today. How to look great on Zoom and use video in your business. I'm really happy to have Clint Eckern here with us today from Vault Media. So Clint is the CEO of Vault Media. They're a full-blown visual media marketing agency here in Kalispell, and were recently named a top 10 social media agency in Montana, and they can really do just about anything when it comes to video and media and marketing for your business. And Clint, he manages and creates content for the fastest growing social media pages here in our area. He's also a leading local videographer and photographer. So he's really got expertise here that I'm super happy for him to share with all of us. And I know I'm going to learn a lot. We've been doing Zooms like all of you, and there's always more to learn. So Clint, I turn it over to you and take it away.
All right. Well, thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And for anyone out there that's watching, thanks for participating a little bit here. And I'm going to try to share some tips that I usually utilize when I'm on any kind of live call or Zoom call or whatever it might be, that I think helps out you to look better, sound better, and of course, at the end of the day, stand out amongst the other folks that are a part of the call. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is a few things that you can do within Zoom itself. So we're on Zoom. We're just going to dive right in. I'm going to start with the live portion of Zoom call right now that we're doing. The second points we're going to be talking about when to go live and when to do a pre-recorded video. And that could mostly pertain around here to Facebook Lives and pre-recorded stuff that way. And then we'll end it kind of with what we at Vault Media here are doing for video for clients out in the Valley, and how we're seeing video kind of make businesses stand out, make really the future of the Valley look a whole lot different, because as everything in Montana, everything's just a touch behind, it seems like, and video's been really at the top of marketing tiers in the nation as a whole for quite some time now. So we're bringing it to the Valley and to Montana. So first thing is, I can't see everyone on this, but what I want everyone to do is, and if you're on a phone, I'm sorry that it's not this feature on the phone side of things, at least to my understanding. So if you know, let me know. But on a Mac or a desktop, laptop or a desktop, I want you to go down on the bottom left, and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here too, so I can show you kind of what I'm doing. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Well, wait, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't. Let's see. We'll go ahead and stop that deal. I got the wrong monitor up. All right, so on the bottom left, there is a stop video section. Don't click the stop video or else your video will stop. And we want to make sure you can see yourself when you're doing this. So there's a little arrow that points up on the stop video side. So you're going to click that. And under that, you're going to see some options. And again, the stop video, that little arrow up is on the bottom left of your screen. So you're going to see some options, and you're going to select the video settings, which should be on the bottom of that list. When you go to the video settings, there's a couple different things that right away, regardless of what you're doing on your Zoom call, are going to make things look better. And you're going to see a direct result of this. So when you click that, you're going to see your screen pop up. If you're not on video and you're able to get on video so you can see this, but there's a couple different sections. The camera part's going to be right there. That's going to show kind of what you're shooting with, and whether it's your webcam, whether it's a separate camera that you got tethered to your computer, it's going to show what you're using. So what I would do is go HD. There's an HD checkbox. If it's not checked, check that box. So you want to have the HD checkbox done. The My Videos section under that, the mirror your video, that's more of a preference thing. So if you want to mirror it, it'll flip you around essentially. So you can play with that a little bit, see what you like or don't like. But the two big ones here are going to be the touch up my appearance checkbox and also the adjust for low light checkbox. And there's going to be different things you can do for both of those. So I'm going to go and check on both of those. As you see, I just checked the low light one. It just popped what my screen looks like quite a bit. So the touch up my appearance piece, using that slider there and play around with it on your side. You can see on my end, I'm sliding it down and up. It's adjusting essentially how soft my skin looks. So it's kind of essentially a beauty filter that you would find on a phone. So I don't use it that often unless I look really tired like I do today. So, but touch up my appearance is kind of a nice little piece there. It helps brighten you up as a subject. The adjust for low light, a lot of us are in low light situations. So that's always a good one that you can automatically do. Obviously, you don't want to go too high or else you're just going to blow yourself out and it's going to be pretty white and bright. So those are two key spots that I wanted to start with in Zoom, because when you're in a Zoom call, since we're starting with that Zoom piece, those are two areas that you can jump in right away and do for yourself to make yourself pop however you can right out the gate. So we'll get out of that spot, and I'm going to take my brightness down here and get rid of that. As you can see, I personally like just more of a neutral look. So you can see I just like a neutral kind of piece. I don't like to be too bright or too dark. So that's kind of what I go with personally. But the big thing is I first want to talk about lighting. So when you're looking at lighting and you're on a Zoom call or any kind of live call, unless you have a set that you set up for yourself, like a dedicated light or a dedicated camera, there are several things you want to keep in mind when you're looking for a light source. So if you got a window nearby, never put your back to the window. So the window should always be in front of you. If you put your back to the window, what the camera is going to do, webcam, regular camera, or your cell phone, it's going to expose for the window. So what that's going to do, it's going to drop you down into the shadows and darkness. And we've all seen it before where someone is just shrouded in darkness and they look like they're on one of those, I don't know, documentaries where you don't want to know who the secret subject is. So make sure that the windows are not behind you. That's going to be a bad situation there. Flip around though, if you can use the natural light from a window to come at your face. So sit 3 to 4 feet away from a window. That'll help immensely. And by utilizing a couple of those Zoom pieces that we just looked at on the touch up your appearance and the brightness, you can play around with that. And usually window light is enough to get it done. So, oh yeah, you bet.
We've had a couple questions. A couple of folks were asking, they said, and so this is great, right? How to look great on Zoom and work your Zoom. I've had a couple of people said, I don't have video options today, but I normally do. And I'm not able to see the video settings. And are you sharing your screen? So I think perhaps part of this might be, as this is a webinar and not a Zoom meeting, you won't see yourself. Would that be correct when we're talking about?
Oh yeah, if it's on the webinar, that might be the case. So,
yep.
So what I'll do in turn, I'm talking about that video setting, so keep that in mind. I'll make a separate video and I'll have all that just, we'll do a full separate video on it. And I'll put that out and I'll have Jen share that out. So we'll get a YouTube video made for kind of how to on that.
Yep, and I think a couple of folks were asking if you were sharing your screen. You were initially sharing your screen, but actually switched back to non-share. Yeah, so folks should just see you chatting here.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. And cool. Let me see here. Yep. So for everybody, if you're not seeing video setting, is because this is a webinar versus a meeting. So those are two different features within Zoom in different formats. Perfect.
All right, look at that. All right, we talked about stuff that you might be able to see afterwards. So we're on a roll. So yeah, I'll make a separate video on those and have Jen send that out and kind of those specific settings so you can see that in action. But hopefully you're able to see on my side when I was making those sliders work, kind of how that affects your visuals there. So lighting, a big thing again. If you're in a spot that doesn't have a window, you're in a hotel room. And most hotel rooms have windows, but might not have a desk next to a window or whatnot. What you're going to want to do is find a light source, whether it's a lamp or something like that. Or if you're in your office and you don't have a window in your office, get a lamp. If you don't have one, they're super cheap. Right now, ring lights, you can get them for 20, 30 bucks on Amazon, no joke. Something like that's just a nice way to do it. You set it on your desk, get that light on your face. And that way, boom, you're set. You'll be at least as well lit as you can. A big thing you want to do is make sure your camera's at eye level. So we've all seen it where someone is looking down at their camera, because a lot of these laptops now have their cameras actually centered down in the middle of, in between the screen and the keyboard. So those are can be hard to get around, because you're going to want to, my recommendation, if you do have a laptop like that, is just buy a separate webcam. But if you can't, you want to get that level with your face, because nobody likes to look up your nose. It's not a flattering look for anyone. And then it's just not a very professional look too. So make sure you get your camera up to eye level, whatever you have to do. I know I was talking to Jen. You got to get your boxes from Costco, cereal boxes, whatever, stack that sucker up and do it that way. Or if you want, get a tripod and get your camera kind of up as well if you're using an external source like that. So those are a couple big things: lighting and where you place the camera. So the second thing is sound. So right now, what I do on all my Zoom calls is I have a lav mic. So it's just, yeah, a little guy right there. You probably hear it scratching. So I have a lav mic that I just put on myself. And one of the reasons I do a lav mic is in case there's outside noise or whatever, it limits that. And I think it just gives an overall just a little better tone as far as the meeting goes. I always wear headphones, big headphones or small headphones, it doesn't matter. And the reason I do that too is it drowns out distractions in the background. A lot of us might be working from home right now, and maybe you have kids, dogs, animals, whatever, running around the house. Having a set of headphones on really just isolates yourself, and it helps you focus on your meeting. And it just sounds better too. You can just, hear everything going on. So that's what I do personally. So I would highly recommend that, just using earbuds or a lav mic. They're very, very cheap these days. You can get on Amazon. What we're going to do for you guys too, as part of this, is kind of come up with a buy list ranging from your base level, entry level cost type stuff, really on the low end, all the way up to $1,000 to $1,500, depending on what you do for work. You can set up a whole setup in your office that is specific to online meetings, whether it's at home or in a workspace. Because as we know now, there's a lot of jobs right now that are going the way of video, or at home work, which there's a lot more Zoom calls, a lot more digital meetings. Which takes me to Jen. You have a poll set up. If you want to get that rolling.
Yeah, let's.
So there's a poll. I just kind of want to get just kind of an idea of how many meetings you guys are doing on a weekly basis now for Zoom and everything, just to see what's going on out there. So because it's always interesting when I talk to people out and about and what they're doing for live meetings. And some people are running like multiple a day, 3+ a day just on Zoom. So if you're doing that many Zoom meetings, in my opinion, it'd be worth it for you or your company. Hopefully your company recognizes it, but to invest in a just static set so that it's always nice and professional looking. Because when you walk into a regular in-person meeting, you're showing up to hopefully look good and presentable in a professional meeting. So the same should go with digital meetings as well. One big thing I see a lot of people that are they'll get on a Zoom call and they'll just throw their picture up. I recommend against doing that for digital meetings. I know in some cases you don't want yourself up, maybe because you just need to listen in and the kids are running all over and it's crazy. In a time like that, that's fine, of course. But if you're able to focus and be a part and be in the meeting, you should always have video on. If you don't have the capability to do that, see if your company will get that access for you, or like I said, invest in it yourself, because I believe me, I think it will go a long way. Because a lot of things too. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was saying, and we do have the polling results here too.
Oh, sweet. Look at that. 3 to 5 times a week. That's the most right now. Holy cow. And then 6+ a week. Yeah. So That's crazy. So it's happening. Hey, we got a couple on there that don't even do it at all, or just one. Sweet. So so yeah, that's you can just tell me that's just the way things are going. Even after this whole COVID thing, the digital space is here to stay. So it's something just to get used to and just to try to look your best on for sure. So yeah, so after the sound side, really the equipment into things, you know, you don't have to go expensive. I know that's a big question. Like, well, I don't have the money to buy a camera. I don't have the money to buy lights or this or that. You don't have to go expensive to create a decent look. So this little backdrop that I have, these are just some things we had in the office that we just threw on a stand, and you know, they add some depth in the background or whatever and give you like a little piece there. For your background, do not shoot in front of a dirty bed, clothes everywhere, like dirty kitchen. I would recommend against all that kind of stuff, because again, we're professionals in a workspace on a live Zoom call. Hopefully have a static space for that. And even if it's a blank wall, that's going to be better than you know, a messy room or something like that. So equipment wise, you don't need to spend a lot of money. If you want to, that's great, but you don't need to. You can use a camera that's right on your laptop. That comes with it. You could buy a separate, cheaper webcam that would sit right on top of your computer monitor, or right on the top of the laptop. And lav mics, like I said, are very inexpensive nowadays too. So there's a lot of different options that you have at it to really get into a decent quality piece for $50 or less if you want to buy something. And if you don't, and use what you have, find yourself a window, have that facing towards your face, or go buy I don't even know what they are anymore, $5, $10. Probably get a couple great lamps or whatever to shine at your face just down at Ross or something like that. Awesome. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about on the Zoom side, on how you're going to look better. If you follow those basics, and this is something that, like I said, I do on every call, wherever I'm at, it's like, okay, how can I find out where I can look the best? That's essentially what I'm looking for. The Zoom settings themselves, the lighting of the area I'm in, the background, and then the sound, making sure I have that to look good. And that's really about it. It's simple, but it just, you know, you just want to think about it a little bit beforehand. Or if you have a place that you can set your stuff up, just get it set up, and it's always there ready to rock and roll. So whenever you have to get on a call, you don't have to think about it. You just pop your stuff on, you're good to go.
We have a question. I'm going to jump in here when we're talking about this, and you've talked about the background and you know, being mindful of what's behind you. We have a great question here. It says, "What's your opinion on green screens if you can't change your background?"
So if you have, so Zoom, you can change your backgrounds. Make sure you're in front of some kind of solid color. It works the best that way. I have a love-hate thing with green screens. I like them. I mean, if you know how to use the green screen side and you can key them out good and everything, then have at it. Like I see some people on Zoom calls with tropical backgrounds and random backgrounds. I think that's distracting in a professional setting. So I think it kind of depends on what call you're doing and where. I guess you have to gauge where you're at on the call, or who you're meeting with, or what the meeting's about. I personally don't recommend utilizing the backdrops that you can utilize in Zoom that take out whatever your background is and put something else in there, like a fake office space or whatever. I don't think that helps anything. And I don't, unless you have the equipment to make a nice key out and a good looking clean background, I would recommend against it. But, you know, to each their own, I guess. Does it answer that question? Good.
Yep, that's great. Thanks.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't have to make I would recommend trying to make your background as least complicated as possible. Use what you have, keep it clean, keep it simple, because really at the end of the day, the focus is on me, the subject, or you, the subject. When you're talking, you want to make sure that your audience can see and hear you, and that's really what it's all about. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Facebook Live. Facebook Live, I mean, YouTube Live now, you got Instagram Live, everything's running live now and stuff, but when to utilize live versus a pre-recorded piece. I see it was probably a year or two ago. I mean, the hot thing in the Valley was people pushing live video. You gotta go live. You gotta go live. I mean, Facebook, the analytics on it, they'll push it to more people. People know you're live. They're gonna love it. They're gonna jump on and interact with you and stuff like that. I believe what we've seen is I just don't, unless you have a large following on social media platforms, I feel like live is very, you need to be prepared for it and know why you're doing it, or have a specific reason why you're doing it, and not just haphazardly do it. And one of the biggest reasons why is when I've seen people do live stuff, a lot of it breaks up. I mean, you're relying on a 4G connection. Your connectivity to the internet might not be very good, so you're going to have a pretty poor quality on your live presentation. So if it's something that would be better served on recording it without going live and then just posting it later that day or right after or whatever it might be, my recommendation is always just doing a pre-recorded thing, unless it's a fully planned live presentation. Because I think there's been a lot of businesses, a lot of events, a lot of stuff like that have been underserved, and even individuals, like what message are you trying to get across due to that. Now, if you have, like I said, if it's a planned go live thing and you hopefully have an audience there, there's going to be questions and answers. That's a great place to go live, because then you could directly engage with who you want to be listening to you and what you have to say. So if it's not something like that, I just recommend go pre-recorded. And I'm bringing this up because it's just a big question we get, and we see a lot of live stuff that the quality is very poor, and I just don't think it meets the needs of the goal being sought. So I wanted just to touch on that piece. And so going live in a prepared setting is fantastic. If you're just somewhere and you're like, this is cool, I want to go live, I mean, it depends on what your purpose for it is. You just want to know why you're going live and does it make sense. Just pre-record it, post it later, great time at wherever, done deal. But I mean, everyone's going to have a little bit different opinion, I think, too, on that as well. But that's my opinion of it for the live versus pre-recorded.
So can I say, so that's really, you know, unless you're really doing like breaking news type of thing, or everything that you said, if possible, consider just recording it and then posting it after the fact. And do you have any tips or specific tools on, if you do that, on cleaning that up at all, or in any
making sure the quality is nice. So a lot of times, obviously, we're just out there utilizing our phone and everything for our live presentations or any presentations. That's the most accessible camera we all have. So what I would recommend, if you're going to a place and you're planning on pre-recording something, or even going live at an area, you're like, okay, we're planning on going live. This is what we're going to do. We want to set up. I mean, the internet connectivity is good enough to create a good solid stream for everyone. There are platforms out there, and like I said, I'll make sure to get a list of all this equipment that's available and out there right now for inexpensive. But you can literally get tripod cell phone bundles that have a mic you can hook to your phone, that have a tripod and a stand for your phone and everything, so that when you hit the button, you can have someone lav mic'd up to your phone and have a mic. It's like a whole connectivity piece to make because really at the end of the day, your phone camera is pretty dang good, but really what those things are about is keeping your camera nice and steady, and also having decent audio coming out, whether you have a mic hooked up or you're trying to interview someone and you want to get a lav mic on them. So it's a matter of just having your camera steady, and then the audio is really the biggest key, in my opinion, when it comes to a lot of that. And then there's so many different free post-production kind of platforms out there on your phone right now, like little editing tools and stuff like that, that if you wanted to clip certain things out, or someone said something they shouldn't have, or you want to clip 5 minutes at the beginning where people are just talking and it's not part of the presentation, there's lots of easy tools out there that are free to use that you can just utilize to clean up your video and then post it out.
Clint, and you're going to have the different types of equipment and things. You'll have some links that you'll be able to send that we can get out to everybody, so that they can kind of shortcut it to some of these types of tools.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have a whole list, and I'll separate everything out too, with audio, video, light, all that stuff. And like I said, we'll make sure it ranges from the very least expensive all the way up, so that you can get an idea of what is currently out there and available to use on the market right now, quick and easy. Get that sweet Amazon 2-day shipping, or a lot of this stuff's available just areas like Best Buy and Target, Walmart, that kind of stuff.
Staples even. Yeah, that would be great. We had a comment here. somebody had mentioned that pop-up sales are good for Facebook Live. So certainly that is something very much of the moment, almost like that breaking news, or
Yep.
you really
Like right now we got something selling, or this is that kind of deal. Is that what you mean by pop-up
Yep,
sales? Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's for stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, if something's happening now that you want to get people's attention, then that's perfect. But at the end of the day too, pop-up sales are a lot of times known ahead of time. And my opinion still stands on that. You'd be better off doing a pre-recorded piece on a pop-up sale, unless you want, unless you're in an area that has good connectivity and what you're going to be posting out is going to fit your brand, I guess, and everything too. So, but I guess, yeah, if you're sitting there and you're like, shoot, we're going to sell XYZ product right now and it's going to be 20% off, we just got to get it out here, and it wasn't planned, then have all at it. Yeah. Or you can even do a pre-recorded piece and post it out too. We
have, yeah, and they add in, unless you have a limited quantity, of course, which you could cite if you do it actually live. So one of the things, a question here, it says, opinion on having a live stream piece versus in person only, and are you able to help business events live stream?
Yeah, so that was huge. That's something that we had to tackle just as a company last year. We used to do a lot of events. Obviously, everyone knows that in-person events are gone now. So we used to do a lot of in-person events, go there, film everything that's happening, come up with a 3 to 5 minute event coverage piece, right? So now what happened last year, of course, everyone's like, well, we still want to do something. So there's different ways that we've done it. We've done it on all spectrums, from full live. So we just got done with a recent one with Dream Adaptive a couple weeks ago. And that was a full live presentation in front of a green screen and everything like that. So that's about as complicated as you could get it. And you can even make it a little more complicated by adding multiple camera angles and all kinds of stuff that way. But so we went full live for them on that. But then last year, there were a few businesses that wanted to kind of do a little bit of a hybrid piece. And then what that entailed is, hey, we bring in a majority of it's going to be pre-recorded, but some of it's going to be live, and it's still going to be streamed out live, like it's a live experience essentially. So we would pre-record everything. So really, you can do, sky's the limit. The big thing is with businesses and nonprofits is you don't want to just skip a year, I guess, on what you're doing. So whatever you do that year, if you always have a gala or if you have a dinner, banquet, whatever it is, you're always going to want to still do something, because that's typically a big fundraiser or a big way you're getting info out to your employees or shareholders, or whatever it might be. If on the business side, you're still going to want to do something. So whether or not you do that live or you do that pre-recorded, that's something that we do on both ends of the table. But I honestly think live's not too bad. It's a good way to go if you're prepared. I mean, obviously on an in-person thing, it's fully live anyways, right? So little mistakes or whatever, it just doesn't matter. You just get a couple people up there, MCs, presenters, whatever it is, and they could talk about what they would normally talk about. I mean, a lot of times the cost as a whole is less than an in-person event too, because you're not having to pay for dinner, venues, I mean, all that stuff. So that's going to be a pretty popular thing this year. We'll be doing a few of them, possibly even more than that, depending on how they come in. A lot of times, starting about early summers when we start getting them popping for all the kind of end of the year, September through December stuff. So it's busy. It'll be a big deal, and I think you're going to see a lot of it. But yeah, if you guys ever have any questions on how do you prepare for an event, whether it's live, not live, or a hybrid of the two, we can definitely help with that. So no, good question, because it's coming up a lot. That's something we've never seen before until really last year. And we have a couple places now that even next year, when their hope is they get back to in-person events, they're going to add a live component, because adding a live component, you have the ability then to reach statewide, nationwide, worldwide, you name it. So yeah, really it's sky's the limit on that. Not even on events or business stuff. It's really like sports, concerts, whatever. I mean, a lot of people are looking beyond just it's COVID season, so we're going to go live and not in person this year. But you can access a whole new group of viewers for what you want to deliver, and in a lot of cases charge for it too. I mean, if it's like a concert, for example, I mean, $5-10 tickets. How many people can you get across the nation that are down to listen to you?
I think Clint, that really brings up a good point. I mean, for instance, this program is one that we used to do, Thinking Thursday, only in person in our conference room here at the chamber, which is not a very big room. And so we would cap at max between like 28 and 30 attendees. And we have more than that on today. And so you're right, in that reach is that, going to video or a hybrid format does allow organizations to have greater reach. And just like we're doing today, we're recording this. So there are always folks, with schedule conflicts that might want to catch an event later.
Yeah.
And for some of the things that that your company is also involved with that SEO and media content, you're also adding to your library, right, of media out there.
Yep, exactly. No, it's changing the game. I mean, I think COVID just helped propel it into the future. It was all coming. It was just a matter of time on when it was going to happen, and COVID really set the stage for it. I mean, as we saw with Zoom, I mean, gosh, like everyone's a Zoom user now, pretty much. But and it's become one of the biggest platforms out there for all this stuff. But video as a whole, I mean, I think the segues well, just kind of in general when I talk about video. I mean, video. I mean, there's multiple ways to get information out to either your clientele or your donors or whatever you want to do that way. But video has always been a very compelling way to tell a story and what you want to do as a business or what you're trying to get across to your viewers. I mean, just think about cinema, obviously, forever. I mean, that's how we love to consume content. It was the radio prior. A lot of people still love the radio, but then it moved to video. So radio to video. I mean, how about that? And now it's moving all digital. So right now we're seeing a lot of our clients want to have constant social media and just constant social media out and about weekly basis, whether that's photos, video, anything and everything that might be going on a constant basis, because we become such of a attention. I'm trying to think how, I mean, how many of you guys out there, we should have done a poll on this. How often do you watch a video to the full length when you're like cruising Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever? I blame TikTok, by the way, for even worsening our attention spans. But I mean, you're scrolling through and stuff, and analytic wise, you're looking at people barely making it past 10 to 15 seconds of a video, regardless of what the content is. And it's been pretty amazing to see that. So you've seen a transformation of what used to be, hey, you want a 3-5 minute video, really crank down to get the point across, keep it focused, and go from there. So really, like the hot spot now, in my opinion, is like that 10 to 45 seconds, depending on what you're trying to get across the table. So, but at the end of the day too, video is what's driving this content piece. Like photos are great still and everything, but video is really where the world's headed on a mainstream basis. And it's really, for the most part, already there, which I'm sure everyone already knows. I mean, a couple of biggest platforms, Instagram, TikTok is growing like insane. It's all video driven. So we're getting used to it.
So Clint, would it be correct then in saying that really, if you're trying to get different messages across nowadays, it's shorter but more? So instead of maybe doing like one comprehensive, the big message, it's more of these bite-sized pieces where you put out maybe part of this and then you put out part of that. You kind of break it up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's really, I mean, there's a lot like explainer videos. That's kind of what they're called, and they're still out there, of course. But like a few minute long, like, hey, this is our company. This is all the stuff that we do. All that. That's still, I think, a good thing to have as an overall business. Just have an overall message, like of who you are, what you do, kind of thing. But I'm even seeing a lot of those, and a lot of businesses that are saying, let's get that to a minute. Let's get that to a minute or less. Like, what do we do? What is it that we do? I mean, if it's that broad, then yeah, you might have to sector it out. Say, okay, like here are the 5 different things that we do well. And you break that down into more detail on separate videos. But I mean, really, even in short films, I mean, like a lot of companies that there's been a lot that I've seen recently is that like they're pushing these short films for their brand. But even these short films are literally like 2.5 to 4 minutes long. and they're literally telling a story about a subject and what their motivation is or what their goal is. And they're start to finish like 2.5 to 4 minutes. And so, I mean, like everything is really buckling down. So really the long form videos, the someone on camera, like, yeah, you know, like everyone's going to be watching me just jab about this stuff. I mean, it's tough to sit through things anymore, especially in our world where everything is go, go, go. So yeah, everything is shortening up quite a bit across the spectrum from what I'm seeing and what clients are wanting and what the clients' viewers are actually looking at as well. So.
Right. I do want to remind everybody, if you have any questions for Clint, please go ahead and put those in the Q&A and we can run through those here. I know we've had a few that we've been answering as we go along. Just a quick question too for you is that, you know, I think, you know, it used to be that video, you would never put anything out if it wasn't super highly polished. And then the trend went to this kind of, it's raw and real. And I think that's where you said, you know, a few years ago where it was Facebook Live, like you don't want to look edited or, you know, you want those rough edges. So where is the, you know, we talked about the time, the length of the videos now, where is kind of the current sweet spot of where you want to be?
Yeah, I feel like the whole raw thing, just put it out there. That's why live is a hot thing, was just because I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. But it's, to me, like getting content out is key. And honestly, like I've talked to a lot of people that are just uncomfortable with being on camera, just to sit in front of a camera, which is the weirdest thing. Like right now, it's just literally me, myself, and I could see Jen over here on my left, but it's just me and a camera in a room, and nobody's here to, you know, unless they beat me up on the Q&A or something like that, but no one's here to visually judge me. And usually when you're talking about a big group, you see that. So, but the fear of being on camera is really there. And I think that's where a lot of that live stuff came from. Like people saying, just got to do it. Just put yourself on live because there's no going back, kind of thing. But the idea is that if you have something to tell people, just put yourself on camera and tell them. Like if you're at a bar or if you're at a coffee shop or wherever you're at, you're going to tell them about something that happened today, or, you know, oh man, guess what happened to me today, blah, blah, blah. We're becoming a digitally socialized world. So me telling you about how much fun I had walking my dog this morning, and wow, the sunrise was great. Look at this. Whoa, great. What, all that stuff. Just, you could tell those stories now. I mean, obviously that's why Instagram stories exist and Facebook stories, all that stuff. But there's no harm in that. No one judges you for that anymore. I think in the early days, it was kind of weird for people to see other people sharing their life on video, but you do it anyways when you're, like I said, at the bar or coffee shop or with your family or whatever. So throw it out there, throw your life out there. Who cares? And really at the end of the day, no one does care, is what it boils down to. That's why I think if you have something to say and you want a message to get across, just put yourself on camera. It just doesn't matter if you mess up or whatever. I don't think you need to go live. I rarely go live. Unless I have like some kind of preset thing, I'll just record something real quick and throw it on there, mainly because, I mean, if the connection's garbage, I'm not going to really know until after it's posted, and it might be broken up and looking not very good.
Yeah, that's a really good point about that. We have a couple of quick questions here, actually. One right now is, what is the best way to assure that you have a good internet connection? Is there really, short of, you probably check what speeds you have if you're in a hardwired connection. So that might be one consideration about when you're kind of on the go with your phone. What are your tips for that?
So what I do personally is, and I don't know the exact science behind all the internet speed stuff, but if you're at a location that you have Wi-Fi at, or that you have an internet connection, most of the time nowadays, internet connections are pretty good, unless you live out in, I don't want to say the boonies because it's not the boonies, but if you live outside city limits and you don't have access to spectrum, essentially, your internet speeds may vary. So your important stuff, you're typically going to want uploads. Very important when you're looking at live. So really, like having at least a 2 or 3 upload speed. So for anyone that is unsure of internet speeds, you can always call your ISP being like Spectrum or CenturyLink or Montana Sky or whatever they are. Call them up and say, what am I getting on my speeds right now? Or you can go to speedtest.net and you can find out what your speed is too. So you want an upload speed in the 2 to 3 megabytes range, and then download doesn't really matter as much. It's usually going to be more in your upload anyways, but the upload's really where it's at. So if that's why doing it on your phone out in where 4G land is difficult, because 4G fluctuates quite a bit. So that's why I always recommend it. Like, you just should know your environment prior. If you're at a business, make sure you connect to the Wi-Fi. If you got it, it's just going to give you a better solid connectivity for that. If you can hardwire in, even better.
Those are good points. I mean, we actually, that speed test, thank you for mentioning that. Very, very helpful at home. We actually, you know, we're just like any other business. We did a program where we had some inconsistent results with broadcasting, and we were doing it over our Wi-Fi, and came to find that even just like the rest of our technology, our phones, how quickly they evolved, that our Wi-Fi router, even though it was only a few years old, was not as, couldn't relay the signal as fast as it could be. And we just bought up at, you know, a store, a new mesh system, and it's like twice as fast with the same everything else here.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. So, and the hard thing is too, is like, a lot of these internet companies, they do not tell you when speed upgrades are available, and you'll be paying the same for the same garbage speed you've had for forever. It's always a pet peeve of mine with internet companies. That's a different topic. So anyways, always check your speeds, and always double check with whoever you're using as your ISP on what is their current, what is their current speeds available, because that will help immensely. That's just one thing you don't want to have to worry about speeds too much when you're going live, but it's always something to be wary of, because you don't want to have a broken up signal. It just doesn't look professional, and obviously the message isn't going to get across in a clean fashion.
And I'll add for folks too, something we have learned here at our office. Yes, you can call your provider and get those speeds, like your different offerings, what they currently have. And depending upon your business and how old your wiring is, you might need to work with your tech IT folks to make sure, if you're going to go to probably the really, really super high speed, if you're going to be doing a lot or high level, that your wiring can accommodate that. That was something that we learned too. We have a couple more questions here. I'm going to go ahead and go through here. What's the one place, in your opinion, to put your best effort? Is it a bit of Facebook, a bit of Instagram, a bit of TikTok, email, website? Does it matter the line of work that your business is in, or how do you decide and stay on top of all that?
So what I would recommend, the first thing you want to identify in a case like that is where a majority of your clients are. So you're going to, I mean, and the easiest way to do that would be just to find out where, I mean, you don't want to stalk your clients obviously on that side, but really you can do a broad range on your age groups. Like who are your clients? What are their age ranges? Because Instagram used to not be the biggest thing in the Valley. Now it's pretty much there with Facebook, even though Facebook is still just a massive piece for the Flathead Valley. So really you want to find out who your clientele is and where they may be on most. And like I said, you can pull them if you wanted to, but you can just run with the average age ranges. So that's what I would do to start out, and then focus your attention there. There's a lot of people in the Valley. I know that a majority of their clientele might be in that age bracket of 20 to 35-ish. And they're using Instagram pretty heavily. So they've really focused almost all of their business on Instagram. I think you still lose out a bunch on Facebook, because there's still a lot of Facebook use as well. But I think if you want to plan on focusing on one area, social media is definitely where it's at. You always want to keep, obviously, email and website and all that stuff intact, and make sure those things are up to date and you're sending the regular stuff there. But if you really want to focus fire something, I would find out where your clientele is mainly at and get on that. Whether it's, I mean, TikTok's a new hot thing, but TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, it could be anything on that side. But it takes a second to just post whatever you posted to those sites, or like to Facebook, for example. It takes a minute to just throw it onto Instagram. And if it's a video content piece, throw it onto TikTok as well. So really the time investment's not really there, but you can really focus fire one of them. I would find out what your clientele's at. That's what I know. That's what we do.
We have a question that says, what advice do you have for people who are nervous about getting on the camera? Tips or tricks to get rid of nervousness? Actually, prior to our call, we talked about my strategy for preparing for this. Whereas
talking on
I
yourself, right?
talk to myself in the car
Yeah.
and prepare and kind of run through. What are your tips and tricks?
So there is no, it's super simple in my opinion. You just need to get in front of the camera anytime you can. And no joke about that. The easiest thing is, and you'll feel totally goofy doing it, and you don't ever have to post what you do, but get your phone out in the morning and just tell the world something. Like, what do you want to tell them, or what do you want to talk about? Maybe have planned pieces. Like, hey, it could be as simple as, today was awesome. I just got done eating a bowl of honey bunches of oats. It was just the best thing in the world. So you tell a little story about what maybe you'd want to tell your friend when you meet her up at the gym, or him at the gym, or whatever. You know, and put it on camera. And you don't need to post it, but if you start familiarizing yourself with getting in front of the camera, you'll start to see what you're good at, like how things look. Do you like the way you look? Maybe you start doing this, maybe this angle, that angle. You start getting sound. It's literally just get in front of the camera. There's really no easier way around it. And you could be the shyest person ever, or the most outgoing person ever. And if you've never been in front of a camera, a lot of times there's just an unfamiliarity with it. You're just uncomfortable, period. I was the same way. I've always been very, in a person setting, I'm no issues whatsoever. I'll talk to anyone and everyone, but on the camera side, when I started doing all this camera work, like it was still weird for me to just jump in front of the camera, because I'm literally talking to this inanimate object that has a lens that's just staring at me with one eye. It's like, okay, that's weird. But you just get to a point where you're comfortable with it, and it's just constantly doing it. You could read about it all day long. You read about tips and tricks, but until you get it in your hand, phone, whatever it is, and start filming yourself, you're never going to really be comfortable with it. So that'd be my recommendation: 2 times a day, morning and at night.
Yep. Yeah. We've all gone into the, TV business really in so many ways. We have 2 more questions here. We'll answer these and then wrap up. What types of video software do you recommend for taking and editing smaller videos? Would it be iMovie, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so for just small little things, if you're a Mac user, iMovie is perfect. Like it's a nice, easy piece for that, nice and free and everything. And I think I can't remember if Adobe recently released something free on the PC side. I'll have to double check, but I'm drawing a blank on the free software I'd recommend for the PC version of things. But iMovie really is probably one of the most robust ones out there for just a free platform. But I'll get the name of the one for the PC side as well. Like I personally use Adobe software, so I use Premiere Pro and all that stuff for video editing. If you wanted to get into a program that took a little bit of learning, DaVinci Resolve is good. They have a free platform actually for that too. It's fairly complex on the learning. It has a learning curve, but it's good software as well.
Okay, well, we can get those links out to folks too with the information after. Last question we have here is what video host sites do you recommend for sharing videos to a larger group? Vimeo, Dropbox? What are the best free options and some of the least expensive, reliable pay to host options?
So if for the best compression, my opinion is Vimeo will deliver the best quality of video. So Vimeo just it doesn't compress. Like when you put a video on YouTube, it compresses it in a way that you lose some quality from what you filmed. YouTube is the best free, in my opinion. I have Vimeo for like just my whole everything kind of sits on Vimeo for majority of my real estate and other projects like that. Vimeo is a great place to showcase your work because it does compress it at the highest quality. So it'll look the best on that side. But Vimeo, to really get the most out of Vimeo, you do have to pay a subscription fee. So really on the free side, YouTube is where it's at, in my opinion. It's the most well-trafficked. It will help your website out at the same time. And you can just tie everything to it. So YouTube is definitely the best share platform. The only reason you'd ever use Dropbox is to actually transfer files to someone else. I would never view things. I would never use Dropbox or Google Drive to view a video. It's just not going to be a good experience for the end user. So, but if you want to transfer it, those are great. WeTransfer is also another great share platform where you could send files. But yeah, for video viewing, you're looking at Vimeo or YouTube, in my opinion, for those. And obviously, if you ever upload a video, like if you want to put a video on Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that, Facebook, you can share those YouTube and Vimeo links to Facebook. But if you want to track analytics and everything a little better, I would just upload the video straight to Facebook or Instagram as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Oh, we have one last quick question here. It says, have you ever used Wistia? W-I-S-T-I-A.
Should I is the question.
Okay.
I don't know.
The person who asked this question, if you have some information you want to share back with us, they said that they have used Wistia.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah, no, I haven't.
Yeah, thanks for that contribution there. Well, I think that's going to about wrap it up for today. Again, since you've registered for this, we will follow up with you later today, hopefully with the information. We have links to the different items, cameras and things of that nature, as well as some of these other sites that we talked about. I'll also have Clint's contact information at Vault Media. Their website is Vault Media, VAULTMEDIA.io. And you can also email them at info@vaultmedia.io. But we'll have all of Clint's contact information to follow up with you. And if you have any questions, then too, can feel free to reach out directly to Clint, and he will be happy to answer your questions.
Take calls and texts. Just get a hold of me. Love to chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Clint. Thank you to all of you for being here for Thinking Thursday today. Stay tuned. We'll have more information about the June. Getting ahead of myself, April program coming out here about the week after spring break. We're working on that right now, so we'll have some more information coming to you soon. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody, and have a fantastic day.